What is up, guys? Jerry coming at you. I'm out running a couple errands, and I figured I would stop in here really quick and talk about a movie with you, because, you know, movies. Yeah. So recently Ryan and I watched a rather controversial film, something that has been a topic of very much debate in the world recently. And of course, I am talking about the James Franco, Seth Rogen masterpiece, The Interview. Yeah. So, this movie obviously has garnered a lot of attention recently. And, you know, the first time I saw this trailer, I was a little bit surprised, to say the least. I mean, I saw the trailer for this movie and I was like, wow, that's audacious. I'm kind of surprised this got made a little bit. I certainly hope it doesn't piss anybody in the world off. And it seems like it may have. So, that's terrifying. Anyway, the first trailer looked like it could kind of be cool and out there, and I actually thought they were playing themselves again. I thought they were sort of taking on this sort of "this is the end" style for this. But no, they play characters. And this movie is an interesting one, because for all the controversy, all the debate, all of the, we don't back down, we need to screen this everywhere, this movie is important. I mean, it's kind of a lot of commotion over a super okay movie. Let's get into this. So this movie stars Seth Rogen and James Franco. You know, Seth Rogen is the director, producer of this interview talk show, sort of celebrity tabloid thing, and James Franco is the host. And it turns out the supreme leader of North Korea is a really big fan and wants to do an interview on the show. It's crazy. So, okay, here's the thing. This movie, all the hype surrounding it, all the commotion surrounding it, all the controversy is kind of what at least I sort of expected, which is much ado over an alright movie. The thing about this movie for me, ultimately, like the big sort of overarching thing, is that it never truly hits a stride, I don't think. I mean, the problem is you have these two main characters. You have Seth Rogen and James Franco, who generally, you know, on screen I enjoy watching. And the problem here is that while I was initially excited to see James Franco doing the more funny, the more silly role, and Seth Rogen taking the straight man again, you know, it worked, I thought, really well in Pineapple Express. It doesn't really work here, partly because the movie wants to have its cake and eat it too, in the sense that you have James Franco, who is so over the top most of the time that it doesn't always match the movie. Sometimes he's much bigger than the movie and any of the other characters are, so then you find yourself sitting there going, who would ever put up with this guy? And then you have Seth Rogen, who is sometimes really good in this. Like, sometimes he and James Franco play off each other, and it's great. There are certain scenes, there's certain little moments that are great, and the interplay is delightful. But when James Franco leaves, when he's off-screen, all of a sudden, the movie wants Seth Rogen to be the funny guy, and it doesn't seem like the movie ever draws, or at least pays enough attention to the rules of its universe and who its characters are. So you get these two guys who are just kind of bumbling and silly, and not enough command over any one thing to really make it more than a mess, I guess.
Like, I'm all for absurdity, I'm all for suspension of disbelief and silly comedy and fun and all that, but you still have to draw the rules of your universe well enough and pay attention to them so that I'm not sitting here every 5 to 10 minutes asking myself, how have these guys not been killed like 100 times by now? How have these guys not died or been captured 100 times over? And I found myself wondering that a lot during this movie. I didn't want to be.
The supporting cast is really good. Lizzie Kaplan's great. I wish she was in this more, because she's one of the best parts of this movie. And, you know, that's a character that is well drawn. And then you have Randall Park playing Kim Jong-un, who does a great job. He does a great job in this movie playing Kim Jong-un, and also playing him like an actual character, because as silly as this movie does make him, and that, I think, is where the biggest controversy comes from, at least as far as North Korea is concerned, if they're concerned, it's just that this movie ultimately makes him look silly, which isn't biting social commentary. There's nothing really challenging here in terms of the ideas. It's not gripping, biting satire by any stretch of the imagination. This movie is less sophisticated than the controversy might have you believe. But just the same, I mean, it is, you know, a legitimate form of commentary, if not a sophisticated one, to basically say, this man is not a god, you know, he pees and poos just like the rest of us, and it makes him look silly, which I can understand why somebody would be mad, because it does make him look silly and at times stupid, but it also plays him like an actual character, which I do appreciate about this movie. Randall Park brings a lot to it, and the whole movie gets better in that half. The second half, when they're actually in North Korea, is not perfect, still suffers from the same problems as the first half, but less so. It's got more of a direction, it's got more of an objective, and certain plot points, you know, don't play out the way you'd expect them to, and I appreciate them for that. This is a movie that could have definitely benefited from more editing, as is sort of the pitfall of any of these movies. There are a lot of scenes that go on for a bit too long, and there are some jokes that just go on for a bit too long, and in some cases, the jokes don't even change. It's like that whole scene where they're doing the whole, like, we want you to take him out, and they don't understand what they mean. It's not even that they have a million different ways of misinterpreting take him out. It's all, like, dinner jokes. So it's just a little bit like you could have cut this scene down and it would have been fine. So this movie ultimately rounds out as being super okay. Like, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't work, and there's some stuff that does work. It's not overly smart, and it's not overly biting or subversive political, social commentary. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, but it's also not that competent of a comedy either, just a straight up comedy. This is one of those movies where I wasn't having as much fun watching it as it seemed like they were having while making it. So ultimately you're left with a pile of things that sort of works, sort of doesn't work. If this was just a really solid comedy that happened to have some you know, political trappings, it's like, oh, I wish this would have been a little more, you know, biting, but hey, good job anyway. But this movie, you know, sort of never comes together as quite a cohesive whole. I laughed aloud 4 or 5 times maybe. I chuckled here and there. There are some fun cameos. I quite enjoyed the Eminem scene to the point where I kind of want that to be true. I won't spoil it. There's certain really funny recurring jokes that I liked. There are certain things that sort of recur to the point where you can't help but laugh at them. I'm kind of glad I saw it on YouTube, you know, from the comfort of Ryan's own home, because that way, you know, it's low risk. That's the kind of movie this is. It's like, you know, rent it with your buddies. It'll be fun. If it's your thing, you're gonna like it. If it's not your thing, you're not gonna like it. And if you're looking for something truly dangerous and satirical, probably not the movie for you. But yeah, what did you think? If you saw it, did you like the interview? Did you not like the interview? And yeah, what do you want to see James Franco and Seth Rogen take on next, or their whole, you know, team really take on next? So yeah, that's it for now. Until next time, I am Jerry. The interview is the film. Cheers.